Hey, Seattle hockey fans, welcome to another episode of Locked On Kraken. We're going to talk about the Stanley Cup Playoffs. Let's talk about it. We're also going to talk about the Seattle Thunderbirds and your Bet Online odds for the second round of the NHL Playoffs. That and more on this episode of Locked On Kraken.
You are Locked On Kraken, your daily podcast on the Seattle Kraken, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
We are the Seattle Kraken.
Hey, what do you say, Seattle hockey fans? Eric Lindsay Ayala here, your host of Locked On Kraken, your only daily show for all things Seattle Kraken and Seattle hockey. So obviously the Seattle Kraken are not playing right now after the inaugural season, didn't make the playoffs, but if you are a longtime listener, you know that the Las Vegas Golden Knights did not make the playoffs either. And my bold prediction as we started this podcast almost a year ago now was that we, the Seattle Kraken, would win a Stanley Cup before the Las Vegas Golden Knights. I am very pleased to say that we are still in good standing, depending on how you look at things, with that bold prediction. Anyway, enough of the hateration. Let's get to what's actually happening in the Stanley Cup playoffs. We're also going to talk about a few other playoff matchups for our Seattle Kraken prospects, but then also, as I mentioned, Seattle hockey overall. Last night, we had almost 20 goals scored between two games, and they weren't evenly split either, folks. Now, yesterday, we had the Carolina Hurricanes host the New York Rangers, and the Calgary Flames host the Edmonton Oilers. We also have in the second round of the Stanley Cup playoffs, Florida and Tampa Bay Lightning. Tampa Bay has a 1-0 lead. They played the other day. And Colorado, St. Louis, and the Avalanche lead that series 1-0. But my goodness, we had so many goals over the night, throughout the night. And again, they were not evenly split. Now, the Rangers and Carolina had the close game. It was a 2-1 overtime win in favor of the home team. Carolina, they get the lead over the New York Rangers. But Edmonton, Calgary, 9-6 in this game. What in the world was going on there? Well, let's talk about it. I mean, it was goals on goals on goals. Matt Tkachuk scores a hat trick or a mat trick, I guess, is what they're going with here. And it was just, as someone who likes defense, or any of you who are into goaltending, this was not the game for you. We had 3 goals in the first period. We had 3, 6, 7 goals in the second stanza. 7 goals in the second period alone. That's insane to me. 4 of those were for Edmonton, another 3 for Calgary. And then to close it out, you had 3 goals for Calgary in the third and 1 for Edmonton. This is a wild game. Like, it's absolutely insane. I looked at some of the highlights. I'm going to have to watch this game because, again, if you like the excitement of scoring goals and you like to hear a goal horn, this was the game for you. I think that this shows obviously a lack of defensive discipline.
Well, we waited 31 years for that as the Calgary Flames take Game 1 of the Battle Alberta in the second round of the Stanley Cup Playoffs 9-6. No, I swear to you, it's not the 80s again. It is 2022 as the Oilers could not start a game. Again, they allowed 2 goals in the first period, 3 in the first 6 minutes, as the Calgary Flames are able to chase Mike Smith in the first 6 minutes. 3 goals on 9 shots for the Flames, as Mikko Koskinen would come in relief and make his first appearance in the playoffs. The Oilers trailed in this game 5-1 and 6-2. They were down 4 goals twice in this game, and let's be honest, if it wasn't for Connor McDavid's goal and 3 assists, 4 points, probably would have been uglier. He scored his 18th point of the playoffs already in 8 games in game 1, while he scored 4 points in game 1 of the Battle of Alberta, Zach Hyman also getting 2 goals is once again, this guy came from the Toronto Maple Leafs, never made it past the first round in Toronto, and he came out and really had an impressive game for the Oilers, really showed out. Big game player for Zach Hyman. This Battle of Alberta in Game 1 was the highest scoring game in Battle of Alberta history. Again, like I mentioned, that 80s series, all of those 80s series seemed like they were scoring at least 12 goals a game. 9, 6, 15 goals in this game, as Game 2 will go Friday night in Calgary at 8.
What a way to kick off the Battle of Alberta. What's up, everyone? I'm Jess Belmoster from Locked On Flames, and what an absolute mess of a game tonight, but it was so much fun. The Flames ended up winning 9-6 over the Edmonton Oilers. The Flames set a new Stanley Cup playoff record with 2 goals in the first 51 seconds, ended up blowing a 6-2 lead, ended up winning 9-6. I don't understand how or why it happened, but it happened. Matthew Tkachuk had a hat trick. Blake Coleman had 2 goals. Andrew Mangiapane had a goal. It feels like everybody found their way on the score sheet tonight, and this was all without Chris Tanev, who again missed tonight's game due to an undisclosed injury that he suffered in Game 6. So going forward, we do have to expect Markstrom to play a little bit better of a game, but I am so ready for this series, and hopefully it doesn't go 7, but hopefully we get some more personal below-the-belt chirps from Matthew Tkachuk.
So obviously hockey fans know there's some history between Edmonton and Calgary, the Battle of Alberta, and history repeating? Well, I guess we'll have to find out, but make sure you're checking out Locked On Oilers and Locked On Flames if you want to keep up with that particular series. Now, let's go to the less dramatic, perhaps. I don't know, who's to say? When you have 15 goals, that seems pretty dramatic to me, especially from a defensive breakdown side of things. But a 2-1 game that goes to overtime, if we didn't have that first game, or I guess technically the second game of the night, if we didn't even have that game, this would have been exciting too. Let's take you to our hosts so you can get a taste of what went down between Carolina and the Rangers.
Hey, what is going on, hockey fans? It's John Chick with Locked On New York Rangers. Let me just start by saying that even though the Rangers lost 2-1 in Game 1 in overtime against the Carolina Hurricanes, it was nice to finally, as a Ranger fan, watch this team play hockey without its season on the line. Obviously, a loss tonight was not going to end the Rangers season as a loss, and any of the preceding 3 games against Pittsburgh would have. But with all that said, this game tonight really does feel like a missed opportunity for the New York Rangers. You know, they were largely in control of this game. I thought certainly they were the better team for the first 2 periods of the game. You had the early goal by Philip Hedl. Rangers couldn't really build on that lead. They even had some puck luck on their side in this game. You know, the Canes were down by 1 goal in the 3rd period, and they had a couple shots go off the post, including one on a breakaway. And unfortunately, you know, the Rangers just weren't able to hold the lead. The Canes tie it with, 2 minutes and 25 seconds left there. And then they just kind of throw the net, does Ian Cole in the overtime period, and they win it just like that. So it's not the end of the world. You know, the Rangers are a resilient bunch. They tend to bounce back when their backs are against the wall. We certainly saw plenty of evidence of that in this past series. But again, it felt like this game was the Rangers for the taking. They didn't end up getting it, and let the Canes get away with not being at their best and still ending up winning the game. So unfortunate result for the Rangers, but certainly not going to give up on them now. I know a lot better than that at this point, especially when you look once again at the preceding series against the Penguins. But we're breaking this all down on the next episode of Locked On New York Rangers. Do not miss it.
Hey there, hockey fans. Jared Ellis here, host of Locked On Hurricanes. And tonight was round 2, game 1 against the New York Rangers. And the Carolina Hurricanes got off to a really rough start. The first 2 periods did not look good for the Hurricanes. And thanks to some stellar goaltending from Antti Raanta, the Carolina Hurricanes were able to go into the third period down just 1-0 to their Metro Division rivals. But thankfully, in the third period, something clicked, and the Carolina Hurricanes came out buzzing. Sebastian Aho tied it up for the Hurricanes, and then heading into overtime after Game 7, seeing Max Domi as an unlikely hero, Game 1 of this series saw Ian Cole score the overtime game winner to give the Hurricanes a 1-0 series lead. So you know Seth from Locked On Wild and Hunter from Locked On Penguins are loving this, and I am loving it as well as all of the Caniacs across Raleigh, North Carolina, and North Carolina as a whole. We are loving it. This team showed a lot of resilience in this game to be able to battle back and come back with the win. And now they look to Friday in Game 2 to take a 2-0 series lead and really try to put this series away early. They got a lot of work to do, a lot of hockey left to play, but the Carolina Hurricanes got it done here in Game 1.
So there you have it, folks. An absolutely wild day 2 of round 2, game 1s in the Stanley Cup Playoffs. Thank you so much to our Locked On hosts who do an amazing job. I know we're not in the playoffs, and we're going to be talking about the playoffs, though, because as we'll learn in the next segment, there might be some pieces, especially unrestricted free agents, that the Seattle Kraken are shopping for, who are playing for some of these teams. That's what we're going to talk about next on Locked On Kraken. For now, though, I want to remind you that Built Bar, and I think they maybe did this just for me and all the rest of the tourist clan out there, but they have a special birthday cake puffs, and now they're adding a brownie batter puffs to their limited lineup. I love a good sweet snack, but I love a sweet snack or a flavorful snack even better when it is chock full of protein, and that's exactly what Built Bar gives you. So we're talking about this brownie batter puff. First you give me a birthday cake with sprinkles, now you're giving me brownie batter. 140 calories, 17 grams of protein, and only 7 grams of sugar. And all about the puffs, just like everything else, covered in 100% chocolate. But then you also have, there's a collagen protein. Collagen's good for things like nail growth, hair growth, getting that skin nice and plump and full. That is also infused as a part of the 17 grams of protein that you're getting in a Built Bar with only 7 grams of sugar. I've been munching on the birthday cake. I tell you, I keep Built Bar at my desk, literally keep them at my desk. This one I found in the back of the freezer is their caramel almond delight. Come on, what are we talking about here? Gotta love Built Bar. Gotta have some handy so that I'm not hangry throughout the day. So head over to built.com. Make sure you use promo code LOCKED15 for 15% off your next order of Built Bars. That's right. Head over to built.com. Put in your cart the the brownie batter, the birthday cake, whatever flavors. They have amazing flavors that you can check out. Fill your cart and then use promo code LOCKED15 for 15% off at Built Bar. Happy snacking. All right. We are back. Welcome to another episode of Locked On Kraken, your only daily show on the Seattle Kraken. As always, thank you for making us your first listen of the day. And now we want you to head over to Locked On Now. I gave you a taste of what the hosts who had teams in the playoff in the playoffs yesterday, had teams play in the playoffs yesterday. I give you a taste of that. But Locked On Now does that every night for you. And just like Jess Belmosto said, it's free 99 on YouTube as well as anywhere you listen to podcasts. But let's get back to our Locked On Kraken show. I know we talked about a lot of other teams early on in the first segment. And why did I do that? Well, one, it's the playoffs. Unfortunately, we're not in the playoffs, but other teams are. And as a matter of fact, let's take a look at that schedule before we move on too much. I mentioned Tampa Bay and Florida. They have game 2 tonight. Then you also have St. Louis and the Colorado Avalanche playing tonight. And then on Friday, we go back. Oh my goodness. Are we going to actually get 20 goals? I don't know, but we're going to go back. We're going to get the New York Rangers and the Carolina Hurricanes. And then, of course, the battle for Alberta. You're going to have the okay, so why the heck are we talking about these teams? Well, I'm going to tell you. Actually, I'm going to get an apple, if you will, an assist from Davy Jones Locker Room, because the Seattle Kraken, I've been talking about it since before the trade deadline, really since the season began, that the Seattle Kraken are going to be big time buyers and sellers when it comes to the offseason and when it comes to free agency. We've got cap space. We definitely have draft picks, and we so badly have needs that other teams potentially could fill as they're looking to reprioritize or even get under a salary cap. So I want to take us over to, as I mentioned, Davy Jones Locker Room. This is a site dedicated to the Seattle Kraken as part of SB Nation. I've come through SB Nation a few times, and so I know the great work and the hard work, all right, that these contributors are doing. So I want to give them stick taps. Who do we have at the top of the list? None other than Johnny Hockey. All right, so the Calgary Flames. Of course, the Seattle Kraken are keeping an eye on that because, again, according to Sean over at Davy Jones Locker Room, Johnny Hockey, top of the list as a player, an unrestricted free agent that the Seattle Kraken might target. Who else is on the list? Philip Forsberg on the list. A lot of chatter on Seattle Kraken Twitter regarding Philip Forsberg. Now, we, again, did see Nashville in the playoffs. They did not advance, so we're not watching them right now, but someone to look at. As you can see here, the theory is goal scoring solves a lot of problems. I get that, and I will say the Seattle Kraken do need goal scorers, but we also need defense, because I, for one, don't want to see Seattle Kraken games like that Calgary Edmonton game that we saw last night. But you know me, if you've been watching this show, I love defense. So who else do we have on here? John Klingberg. Now that was, what a game 7 that was against Dallas. Didn't advance to the second round, but were in the playoffs. So we're looking at playoff contenders, guys that know what it's like to get there. We need more of that. As much as we want the young talent to develop, and we're going to need to get young talent to fill out an entire AHL roster, we haven't had to do that yet. So we're going to get young talent regardless. That's a non-negotiable. It's going to happen. We're going to see the Seattle Kraken figure out a way to fill their AHL roster, but you also have to get some veterans, tried and true. I don't care what the sport is, you always need veterans. So Klingberg, maybe let's see what happens there. And this is a big one. Malkin. Now, Malkin has had some injuries, so this, you take a chance. It's obviously a big name, but you also want to think about where the Seattle Kraken is in the standings, where they are in their build. I think Ronnie Francis has a 3 to 5 year plan, and in year 2, we're going to see the purse strings. We're going to see the leash, so to speak. The tolerance, the patience with things is going to be much different than we saw in season 1. That being said, when you bring in someone like Malkin, who's been there before, who's a veteran, can you get some use out of a guy that's coming off of some serious injuries? Can he bounce back and be a part of the Seattle Kraken in formative years? Who knows? We'll find out. So I love this list. Check out Davy Jones Locker Room if you're not already, because there's another article that I want to talk about. We'll probably hit on it tomorrow, but talking about what exactly are the needs for the Seattle Kraken. We've talked about this, as I mentioned before the trade deadline. We talked about it after the expansion draft. The Seattle Kraken need everything. They absolutely need everything. I have lots of questions about goaltending. Defense was my personal biggest disappointment. And yeah, I hear what people are saying, like Sean in this article. Goal scoring solves a lot of problems. It doesn't solve all the problems, but it solves some. But with that said, the Seattle Kraken response goals. How many times have we talked about response goals, right? Because the Seattle Kraken showed that they have offense that can create response goals. What we didn't have is the ability defensively to stop response goals. So I don't know. Let me know what you think. That's the big question of the day. What is the biggest need for the Seattle Kraken? Let me know in the comments, or you can hit me up personally at elindsay08. There's my handle right there. And of course, you can also hit up Locked on Kraken. I know some people responded to the question of the day the other day. What do you want as far as a mock draft and all of that stuff from Locked on Kraken? If you have thoughts on that as well, let me know. Coming up next on Locked on Kraken, I talked about the schedule for the weekend for the Stanley Cup Playoffs. I want to talk a little bit about your Bet Online odds. Obviously, they're one of our sponsors. So we're going to see what Bet Online is saying about who maybe can make it through to the Stanley Cup Finals. So we're going to talk about that, or final. I think, yeah, Stanley Cup Final, NBA Finals. Very confusing. Either way, let's talk about that. And I want to talk about a little bit more about the Charlotte Checkers. We talked about them the other day. And your Seattle Thunderbirds. Yes, they are also advancing. Lots of hockey, lots of playoff hockey, and lots of implications for either local Seattle hockey or, of course, for the Seattle Kraken. That's what's coming up on Locked on Kraken. Right now, though, let's talk about Bet Online, which is the continued number one spot for all your betting needs and sports info. And coming up on the show, we're going to actually give you the odds so you can get ready to bet on the Stanley Cup playoffs. Because on Bet Online, you can find all of the latest odds, the latest news, and sports developments that will help you decide which lines you want to take and which ones you want to leave behind. It is your continued source for all sports wagering information, from live betting to playoffs, esports, and more. Head to the website today or use your mobile device to learn more about the trends and action. Bet Online, where the game starts. All right, folks, hello again. We're here for the final segment of Locked on Kraken, your daily show for all things Seattle hockey, let's say, because we talk about the Kraken. We obviously talk about the Charlotte Checkers because they are our AHL affiliate. But right now, let me just let you know a little bit about what's happening in Seattle in the WHL. Your Seattle Thunderbirds defeated Portland to advance to the Western Conference Final, where they will take on the Kamloops team. Round 3 tickets went on sale yesterday. They will go to the Western Conference Finals, where, again, they're going to take on Kamloops. Now, this was pretty big. They're going to take on the Kamloops Blazers. The series begins tomorrow, Friday, so we'll have a little bit more, and we'll give you a little bit more updates there. But I saw on, again, Seattle Kraken Twitter, lots of people excited. Some Seattle Kraken fans went to this series or were able to see the clinching game as the Thunderbirds move on. But remember, the Charlotte Checkers, who we are co-parenting with the Florida Panthers. They, of course, are in the Stanley Cup playoffs, but they will resume the partnership with the Charlotte Checkers after the season, whereas our guys, Max McCormick, Connor Carrick, we've got Joey DeCord, they will be headed out to the Coachella Valley Firebirds. So we've got the Seattle Thunderbirds, the Charlotte Checkers, who have Seattle Kraken prospects, are playing the Springfield Thunderbirds, and then we have our AHL affiliate, the Firebirds. Lots of birds. I don't know what's up with that. Either way, I would have gone with Phoenix. We've talked about that. Will I let it go? Maybe eventually, but that day is not today. Anyway, I digress. A Phoenix is a Firebird. We're all good there. Sweet sweaters we have for our AHL affiliate. Why am I rambling on? The point is that we're going to keep you updated with what's going on with the Thunderbirds. We're going to keep you, the Seattle Thunderbirds, we're going to keep you updated on how the Charlotte Checkers do against the Springfield team. And of course, we're going to keep you up to date on what's happening with any moves, any signings. We're going to check in with the Charlotte Checkers and some of our guys as they get ready for the playoffs and go through round 3. So we're going to have it all. We're going to have it all, but as I said, we gave you the Bet Online read. Now it's time to go to the Bet Online odds, because why not make some money? Make some money. We're watching the hockey. We're doing the hockey anyway. Might as well make some money off of it. Here are your odds. Florida Panthers at a -150 to the Tampa Bay Lightning plus 130. This is for the second round in particular. Then the St. Louis Blues and the Colorado Avalanche, again, game 2 tonight. You can see that the odds are heavily in the favor of the Colorado Avalanche with a -400 as opposed to St. Louis Blues at a plus 320. Now these next two, and maybe we can see because of the drama that we saw last night, one game absolute chaos in net. What was going on defensively? No idea. Another game must have been great defensively. Only got 3 goals. Very stingy defense in that series. Either way you slice it, these are the odds. Edmonton and New York both have a plus 170 according to Bet Online, your number one spot for all things sports betting. And then the Calgary Flames and the Carolina Hurricanes at a -195. And then you can also take a look if future bets are your thing. Here are your odds full of the teams still in contention. Now we'll get into who's going to win the East versus the West. You can see Panthers line right there, but we have some time for that. We only got through game 1. We've got the game 2s coming up. Again, that is tonight. You have the Rangers at Carolina, 8 p.m. Eastern time on ESPN. And then, tonight, that's my bad. Tonight is on TNT, and it's Tampa Bay at Florida, 7 p.m. Eastern time. St. Louis at Colorado, 9:30 p.m. Eastern time. And tomorrow is Friday, May 20th. Happy birthday to my dad. We've got the New York Rangers at Carolina. That's at 8 p.m. on ESPN. And Edmonton Oilers at Calgary Flames. That's at 10:30 p.m. Eastern time. Much better for those of you on the left coast. All right, folks, that's going to do it as we've been doing for the past few days on Locked On Kraken. I want to give you just a little bit of a wellness tip. I did record a podcast yesterday, and I looked absolutely blitzed. And why? Because I wasn't getting enough sleep. Sleep is so critically important. It's something that I don't get a lot of, but I am actively mastering my habits. And so if I don't get enough sleep at night like I want, try a little cat nap. So I know we've had Headspace and other sponsors like that as part of Locked On. I'm using some of those apps now to help me just, if I can't take a proper 5, 10, maybe even 15 minute nap, then I just close my eyes and reset. Deep breathing also works. So that's my wellness tip of the day, trying to just promote positivity, self-love, self-care, and let's do it together. All right, that's our show until tomorrow, assuming I get my nap. This has been Erica Lindsay Ayala, your host of Locked On Kraken. Again, don't have a dog in the fight, but we're building for a future. So let's hold fast, let's stay true, and I'll see you tomorrow.